We actually get story development tonight. Play the thing. Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Steve and I'm going to be reviewing the 25th of May edition of NXT. A lot better than what last week, I feel. It just all made sense tonight. It all fell into place a lot more. Let's get into it. Show starts off with the Balor Kross package promoting the main event tonight. It's just a simple video to explain what it is. It's been run loads of times throughout the week. Commentary are all snazzed up this week. They're all in matching blue suits. Kind of a nice touch, really. Felt like I was watching something from the 80s, like that old school 80s wrestling TV production. Yeah, just really like the aesthetic of it tonight. We start off with Shotzi and Ember versus Raquel and Dakota. Really good match. It's what I expected from this match, with Raquel being sort of dominant whenever she's in the ring, and whenever she tags Dakota in, Dakota is then sort of all the work Raquel's done is undone by her, and Shotzi and Ember take over. I really thought this match would have been sort of the start towards their split, which I presume is inevitably coming, but when I don't know, because I say when this match ends, Raquel's trying to hit that single arm powerbomb on Ember. Ember reverses it into a sort of modified eclipse. With doing this takes Raquel out of the ring. Shotzi and Ember then hit their double team move on Dakota and pick up the pinfall. Yeah, like I said, I would have thought this would have led to the sort of beginnings of the end for these two, but just turns out with Raquel attacking both Shotzi and Ember with her championship belt. Then it's all focused on Shotzi, because sort of Dakota has Ember pinned in the corner and Raquel's just power bombing Shotzi into everything. The barricade, the ring post, ends up dropping her on the barricade afterwards. I presume this now makes Shotzi and Ember sort of #1 contenders for those NXT Women's Tag Team titles. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. Next was a Ciampa and Thatcher promo talking about their loss to Grizzled Young Veterans and saying that they will now want a piece of them. Countered later on because we get a Grizzled Young Veterans promo where they basically say they want nothing to do with Thatcher and Ciampa and they're purely focusing on MSK and them tag team titles. This match probably will happen, so I'm looking forward to seeing that in the future. Come back from the commercial break, we get a short promo for the live events that are starting again soon. I can't wait to see crowds back again, just to get that natural reaction for cheers and boos. Yeah, it will be so much better, especially around Money in the Bank as well, because I say that pay-per-view is kind of one that needs crowds. You couldn't really do it with the piped-in audio. It needs that authentic reaction to stuff. We then get Pete Dunne with Oney Lorcan taking on Bobby Fish. This was good. This is a sort of a reminder of what Bobby Fish can do. I always felt that Bobby was kind of not so much underrated, but just when you've got the likes of Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, and Roderick Strong in your team, when they was in the Undisputed Era, he's just sort of the unnoticed man. I mean, especially with his injuries, and he missed a lot of time off. This was just a good display to remind people what Bobby Fish can do. I mean, bearing in mind this is only Bobby Fish's second match ever when he's not in the Undisputed Era. He had his first one, lost that, and then after that he joined Undisputed Era with Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. So yeah, so now he's on his own. Hopefully get to see more of what he can do. It's his first singles match since March of last year, which was against the Velveteen Dream, and I think it was something like only his 13th single match ever. Like, everything else has been tag team. This is now Bobby Fish's time to sort of make a name for himself. The match itself is amazing. There's loads of great mat-based wrestling stuff. Shortly after coming back from the commercial break, it seems that Bobby's bruised Pete Dunne somehow across the cheek. We don't get a recap or anything. It's just you come back and you can visibly see the marking on Pete Dunne's face. So it would have been nice to have seen what happened there. This basically was Pete Dunne working on Bobby Fish's injured arm, the one that's been repaired, the tricep. There's a nice spot where he manages to drop a double knees onto the back of the arm, which looked really good. Fish manages to get some offense in himself. He manages to get an exploder suplex onto Dunne, where he lands roughly against the ropes, but inevitably ends with Pete Dunne hitting the bitter end for the pinfall. Only Lorcan jumps Fish afterwards, and Lorcan has got Fish's arm draped over the apron, and he's literally standing one foot on Fish's chest, the other one on his arm, just bending it backwards over the apron. Unique spot. I mean, is this going to lead to Bobby Fish versus Oney Lorcan, with Pete Dunne moving on to other things? So only time will tell, but it's good to see Bobby Fish back in singles action. We get a Hit Row video package. They're back in the studio, but they're cutting promos on everyone and every title. So Hit Row going to do an Undisputed Era and get all the gold? Especially B-Fab, is she going to go for that NXT Women's Championship? Because they mention everyone. They mention Kushida, they mention Kross and Balor, because obviously the main event hasn't happened at this point. They mention Reed again with the North American Championship. They even mentioned the tag team titles. So yeah, looks of it, hit row, going for all the gold. After the match, we get a Mercedes Martinez promo. She's backstage walking towards the ring, cutting one, just talking about what happened with Raquel recently. As she's walking through, though, and past the camera, all of a sudden, Bo from TN Shaw appears, dressed up like some sort of Halloween knockoff Neo, like he's there in a leather coat and sunglasses. So they're finally going to use TN Shaw by the looks of it. This plays in towards the end of the next match. The next match is Mercedes Martinez versus Zayda Ramir. This is basically domination by Mercedes. Zayda manages to use her agility to the best of her ability, but unfortunately it just ends up with Martinez winning. After the match, they said the lights go out, it comes back on, it's all lit in red lighting, there's smoke. Mei Ling appears on the screen blowing smoke, like what she did to Cade and Carter a couple of months ago. The lights then cut back out, they come back on, but this time it's all back to normal. Martinez's music is playing. At this time, she's now got a mark on her hand, so I presume she's going to be the next target for TN Shaw. It's actually nice to see them try and follow it through with a storyline now and actually use them for something. Obviously, where the last one was with Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro, and it just was dropped dead, and it was like, okay, fair enough. So we might actually get some progression with this faction now. Then on to the $1 Million face-off, and this, for me, I felt was the babyface turn for Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes comes out, and this, I had this thought to myself as this was happening. I was like, this is how Baron Corbin should have been booked with the King Corbin role. I say Cameron Grimes just is fantastic in this. But yeah, he basically comes down, DiBiase comes down. They have a brief discussion about how Grimes says that DiBiase was a role model to him. DiBiase says that he can see a lot of himself in Grimes. This is then interrupted by LA Knight. My slight issue with this was the mic seemed to be messed up, because LA Knight was cutting this fantastic promo and it just sounded like he was having to shout because his mic wasn't working. And so yeah, the audio, like they did this thing that they did last week, and they dropped some of the piped in audio, and at certain points it felt dead. As I say, I was listening to a podcast at some point over the last week or so, and it turns out there's a hype guy in the NXT crowd telling people when to boo and cheer and stuff, and it's like, if you're having to use a hype guy, then you should really keep the pumped in audio. But yeah, so the audio seemed messed up in this, and it kind of ruined it slightly. But otherwise, so the promo, the whole thing itself was good. It was just a one irritating factor in it. Grimes basically says that this is a millionaires club, so LA Knight shouldn't even be out here. LA Knight decides to then hit Grimes with that modified stunner that he does. DiBiase ends up taking LA Knight's side and walking off. I presume at one point, hopefully in your house, we're going to get LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes, and I believe if the rumours are true, they're going to bring back the $1 Million title, because this is what a lot of it seemed to be leading into. So yeah, hopefully in your house, LA Knight, Cameron Grimes, $1 Million title. That's going to be great. So it's going to be good to see the $1 Million title back on TV. Come back from the commercial break, and Indy's backstage being stalked by Mackenzie as she's trying to look for Dexter Lumis. She comes across Everrise, who are recording something for their show, and she's asking them if she's seen Dexter, and the one that did it last week to Raquel is like, do you want to take a pop at me? And luckily enough, Drake walks in, saving him getting knocked out by Indy, and says, if you're looking for Dexter, so I think he went in that room there. So Indy storms into this room, and my God, this was like something out of a horror film. Drawings all across the wall of broken heart symbols and Dexter having his heart broken. It honestly looked like something out of a serial killer's film. Like it looked like the weirdest crazy stuff. But this say Indy notices at this point that she knows how she's messed up. But I don't know if this is going to be a heel turn for Dexter Lumis now. Like the broken-hearted kind of aspect to it turns him heel. Again, we'll see how that comes out in the coming up weeks. We then get double debuts in one match. We get Franky Monet making her in-ring debut finally after 4 weeks. She's taken on Cora Jade. Cora Jade signed in January for NXT. She's previously appeared for Impact and AEW in the last year. This match is exactly what it is. It's just a dominant display by Franky to get her character over. She's doing all that wonderful stuff that she used to do in Impact, and she's doing all her talk down stuff to her opponent. It ends with Franky hitting the Road to Valhalla, as it's previously been called, which is a double chicken wing facebuster. This match was exactly what it needed to be. Just Franky picking up a win, the introduction of a new female superstar who, to be fair, her ring gear looked amazing as well. I say even when Franky come out, she has this long sort of feather white coat that Wade Barrett insisted it cost 35,000 euros or something. Yeah, so Cora Jade's ring attire, yeah, she looks amazing as well for her in-ring debut. We come back from the commercial break and we got something that I didn't particularly like, and that was a water package, an Imperium package, if you will. The fact that they mentioned Alexander Wolf, and obviously after his releasing last week, I just felt this it's not cool, man. Just you roam out of a story, out of a faction, then he gets released the next day, and the fact that you're still using his name a week later, I just think it's disrespectful. This guy obviously only has a 30-day no-compete clause, and you guys are using it as part of a storyline just to enforce, like say, the whole thing is for Walter telling Bartel and Eichner that they got to go and win them tag team titles. This was my only flaw with the show. I thought this was disrespectful, and I just didn't like this at all. We then get new North American champion Bronson Reed in ring for a promo. The promo itself is pretty standard, just about his journey, how long it's taken him to get there. I was honestly expecting Johnny Gargano to come out and want to challenge for that title again, but instead of Johnny coming out, it's one better. It's Legado del Fantasma and Santos Escobar. I am psyched for this, man. I want to see this guy pushed up the card. I want to see him going for the North American Championship, for the NXT Championship. He basically cuts a promo saying because it's the North American Championship, that it belongs to him because he's part of North America, because he's Mexican. It's kind of a silly promo, really, about, oh, I'm entitled to it because I'm from Mexico and that's the North American Championship. All aside, like I said, this is just exactly where I want to see Escobar now. I want to see him going up this ladder. I want to see him eventually hitting that NXT title scene. The three of them decide that they're going to stand on the apron. MSK run out for the save, so Bronson Reed's not outnumbered. Obviously, with them taking on Wilder Mendoza next week for them tag team titles, so just a good development with their story. We then come back from the commercial break. William Regal has set up a match for next week. Kyle O'Reilly, Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, #1 contenders match. Winner goes on to face either Balor or Kross at this point for the NXT Championship at In Your House. Early prediction, I'm gonna say Johnny. I don't think Dunne is quite finished yet with Bobby Fish. I think that Kyle O'Reilly's going to end up getting dragged into that as well. So yeah, I'm going to say Johnny Gargano is going to win that next week and go on to face Kross In Your House. On to the main event, Balor versus Kross 2. This was, man, this was kind of like a one-sided match, really. I mean, Kross is just destroying Balor for the majority of his matches, and any time Balor manages to hit some offense, Kross just gets back up and back in Balor's face. It's just a severely dominant display. I mean, the match is fantastic. It almost felt like Kross was like a predator, just playing with a prey that he caught before eating him. He just sits there and plays with it just to get some sort of entertainment out of it before winning this match. And yeah, it made Kross look super strong, and it makes me concerned as to who's actually going to beat him for that title. But otherwise, the match is fantastic. This may now lead to Balor going back to Raw or SmackDown. If I had it my way, I'd drop him in as a mystery opponent for Money in the Bank, and even possibly give him that Money in the Bank briefcase. I think, especially with it being in front of a crowd, if you was to say have a mystery man come out for that match on a pay-per-view, Finn Balor, and he wins a Money in the Bank match, I think that would be a good way to reintroduce him, especially say if it's done before the crowds are back. I think it'd be a bit stupid. Kross manages to make Balor submit with the lights out, and yeah, he just retains the title. It's all starting to look like just a dominant run for Karrion Kross now in NXT, and yeah, I look forward to seeing more of him. I say if he's like this for the rest of his tenure in NXT, this would be fantastic. And that's it. That's the review for NXT. Just a quick note on obviously some of the releases from last week, because I never ended up doing a follow-up video. Yeah, just sad to see a load of them go. I mean, I know recently in the last 24 hours, they've also released a lot of their backstage crew for like their YouTube and TV side, and yeah, it sucks, man. People say the fact that they're losing their jobs for budget cuts, I think, is just the biggest joke in the world. The fact that they sign these deals with Saudi Arabia and they're getting all this money, well, I say will get more of this money when they go back to doing the Saudi shows. The fact that they signed a $1 billion TV deal with Fox, and yet they're cutting people for budget cuts. It's the biggest joke ever. It'll be interesting to hear a lot of people's stories about how this all come around, because yeah, this is just a joke, man. I think it's just an insult to everyone that works there that's been released, because we all know for a fact it's got nothing to do with budget cuts. Hopefully they will move on and find some work, except for a certain few that I won't bother mentioning because they don't deserve the time of day. But yeah, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop us a like, drop us a comment down below, tell me what you thought of the show. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.